Start off, guys, I just want to say thank you for getting me to 100 subscribers. I appreciate all the views and everything, and thanks for watching, guys. A quick menu tip here in your journey. I, for the longest time, had this little high completed not checked, and I would take forever to scroll through stuff just to see what my active quest is. I would literally scroll like this, and it would take forever. Just look down, unlike me, and just press hide completed missions, just like that, and there you go. It's a lot cleaner in here. And the next tip is about your base power. I used to fuel all my generators manually, pressing, space here to deposit. I would walk one by one by one. And then one day, my friend told me I can just use my Sub-fief, which I just never thought to look at after replacing it, Just press up here. You can press Y to refuel all generators, saving you some time there. And the next tip, really, is the Sub-fief has a ton of cool statistics here. You can see your base area, building pieces, which there's limits. Productions, light's a big one. A bunch of cool stuff. Power generator, your overall power versus how much you're using currently, your water storage, and then your overall storage. So yeah, pretty cool. Also shows you, you're maxed out at 20 days and storm alerts, which I'm not sure if that's even really that helpful. Also on your Sub-fief, you can set permissions for your friends, so like they can come in the doors or they can't come in the doors, and there's certain tiers here. You can do rollover. You can see the role overviews here. 3, 4, 5, co-owner, associate owner. I'm the owner. I have some friends that can come in and stuff. So if you have a bunch of friends that play, or maybe some clan mates, you can set some stuff for that. And another tip for the Sub-fief is you want to keep it somewhere in the interior base, kind of surrounded with walls and doors, not really a penta shield, because if it gets destroyed, base is free to claim and loot and stuff like that. So if you forget to play, or you're just busy or whatever, and your base goes unpowered, if it's in the heart, if it's somewhere protected by walls, it'll take forever for those walls to decay. Multiple weeks, like a month or more. They take forever. If it's in the middle, you'll be able to, maybe you'll lose some walls or outer stuff, or maybe a vehicle, but at least your whole base won't get looted by, someone flying by looking for old bases like that, which is very common to a lot of the guys who play a lot. Once you get to the mid-game, you'll probably be using the full Suspensor belt. It's definitely the best belt, I think, overall, loved by the community. It's basically just a jetpack, lets you go, anywhere you want, compared to the others, which maybe let you hover or whatever. But they do kind of lose durability quick, because you do rely on them a lot when traveling. Once you get them, it really opens up a lot of movement in the game. And so to prevent, having your belt break, which it will a lot early, maybe you don't have all the perks or stuff like that, try to keep a backup on you, because it will definitely save you. Maybe you're on a Landsraad mission, and that's a lot of running around with your Suspensor belt on. If you have a backup one on you, you can just swap it in. It's cheap. It doesn't take up a lot of space. Definitely just something that can help you out once you're in a pinch later on. Next thing is about inventory management. You're going to want to keep a scanner on you, because some quests are going to need them, and you don't want to be, have to run all the way back to your base to get it. I've had to do that. Welding wire, a cut array, which you always should have on. You can always craft one for the basic one for doors and stuff like that. Fuel cells and bandages. And the cheap bandages are the cheapest, so that's always a plus. I still run them here at level 188. I run them in testing stations. Yes, I have the other ones too, but these work, just as good when you just lose a little bit of health. If you're super new to the game, there's no vehicle damage, so you can do stuff like this and not have to worry about it at all. No collision damage, I should say. You can still get damaged, definitely by other players, and just wear and tear. Once you get your Ornithopter and you're kind of in, the north part of the map, kind of the late game part of the map, the shield wall, up here, and it's not very obvious, although I'm sure some players like to check this place out. There's a good little loot spot to get some, good late game loot. Not really end game loot, but some stuff that'll help you. And you can just come back here to the blueprint for poison mist. This is really good. Spice infused aluminum dust, some cash, a weapon, diamond dye dust, which I think is pretty useful, and then some fuel cells. It is a helpful little loot spot. And the best part is, and by the way, it's right here north of Mesa Tyrell. You'll see it. It's the big freaking tower. It's nice when you go, out the map, it's overland map. If you especially live over here, I always pass this place, so it's a nice, pit stop to get some free loot and then head back to base. If you're ever questing over here, maybe doing testing stations or stuff like that, in the Odham, I don't know how to pronounce that, so don't make fun of me. Definitely maybe spend a minute or two looking for these flowers, which are really annoying to gather, but if you're just in the area, you can kind of just stop by, pick up a few. It's five each, and you'll definitely thank yourself later, these agave seeds, because they're used for a lot of cosmetics at your base. So just picking up a few here and there instead of spending, an hour trying to hunt them down, because you can see here they don't really spawn that frequently. I'm sure there's some good routes out there, but it's still kind of a time sink. So anytime I'm kind of just traveling by, I'll try to pick up one or two. Look, here's one right here. Quick 10 and, go on with your questing or grinding, whatever you're trying to do that day. Okay, and a time saver tip here. If you don't want to go to the overland map, Arakeen or Harco Village City, whatever it's called, to go, buy some stuff from the faction traders, you can go to Helios Gate up here in the shield wall, or you can go to the Harkonnen base, Rift Watch, over here to the right of the map. And they have a vendor here, which I didn't know for a little bit, where you can just buy all the cool stuff once you rank up your faction. Maybe you're doing some Landsraad, you ranked it up.
What can I show?
They sell all the stuff they sell at the cities, and you don't have to go as far. All this cool stuff. So yeah. There's also quests here, if you didn't know, which I've already done them, but if you haven't done these, maybe some quests right here for you. Here's a tip for some organized people. You can name storage containers if you did not know. Just click it, open it, general settings, and you can name it right here. And I'll name it stuff because that's all I have in here because it's just random. And look at that. Now it'll be easier for you if you enjoy organizing your stuff. You can see what's in there. Here's a tip if you never got the terrarium of the Moadib, which is a little like mouse rat thing. If you don't have it, which was I think maybe a pre-order thing or maybe a beta, one of those two, or deluxe edition, something. If you don't have one of these, if you have a friend that does, or maybe you just, you open world chat and find somebody who has it and who's willing to spare 5 minutes, they can build it for you in your camp if you give them permissions, and then you can have one yourself. So pretty cool. A lot of people do that. Just gotta, find a cool guy, which I would do it for you if you were, talking in my server. Here's a building tip, or a vehicle storage tip, I guess. You can see here my front wall is pretty open and exposed. I don't have a penta shield. I don't like the look. Look, that looks okay. I mean, not really my style. But you can have it open here, and this will not take any damage as long as it's, basically covered, and you can check if it's safe, which, sometimes it's not. You just open up this menu, and then you can see right here, decay, safe. And I think if I got rid of this row up here, which it's already missing a few, if I got rid of that row, it would be, exposed to damage. So you can make some pretty cool designs, or more open designs, more open than you think, in this Dune world. Just make sure you're checking your vehicles to see if they're safe from decay. For Landsraad missions, you can only have 3 at a time. So let's say I accept all of these. But you really don't want to do one of these. Maybe you hate this maybe you hate this testing station. Kind of a way to reset a quest or delete it so you can get one you like. Since there's only 3 available at a time, is you can abandon it, and that'll pop up a new quest. Maybe you like field testing, so you accept that. Abandoning the quest effectively gets rid of it. It's kind of like a little reset. The only negative is you do have an hour cooldown. But say you do these quests, they open up a few more, and then you're questing for an hour and you can redo it again. But it's a nice way to get rid of a quest you don't like and continue, doing your Landsraad missions as is. So if you press N on keyboard, if you're playing, with a keyboard, there's the radio stations, and there's Harvester Radio, which is kind of like a neutral radio station. They have funny skits and stuff like that. Atreides, Harkonnen, Imperium Classics, which is music, and then radio station, the Spice Wars, which is from the Spice Wars game. That soundtrack, so pretty cool. Maybe you're doing some deep desert stuff and you just want some background noises. I mentioned earlier you can power your base through your Sub-fief. The cool thing about that is, remember I told you guys I used to go manually. Once you can just use your Sub-fief, you're able to hide these generators pretty much anywhere you want because you never need to physically see them unless you're turning them off for maybe some power saving. So my old base, I hid them behind walls. Like I would completely cover this up so they were kind of just behind the walls. But on this base, I had this old flooring, like this subfloor. I had like a sub hanger down here before, but now I just use it to store all the stuff that I don't really need to see. So I have, majority of my power generators down here and my water storages, which creates room to clean up your base later. And yeah, you don't need to mess with it because you can just use your Sub-fief. If you want to, stage your vehicles to look cool, instead of driving them in, maybe it's kind of a pain based on the thing. You can literally just pick them up and then place them. You can put them in the vehicle backup tool and then place them exactly kind of how you want to set them up. A lot simpler. Obviously not a thing for crawlers or buggies, but for the little stuff, which I don't really use these anymore, it's nice I'm able to just pick them up and stage them how I want. For the research tree, early on, I would not just spend, every point on everything you unlock. Definitely on some of the first stuff, because you're going to need it. This large wind trap I've never used. I could have saved some points for that, which I don't need points right now. I have 204, but I know some people get caught kind of in the mid game with no points because maybe they feel the need to unlock every weapon. I did not do that. You can see here I skipped the pistol, I skipped this sword because I was using the knives at that point. I only unlocked one gun, the Gerda. I also got guns from loot, so I didn't really need to craft it as much. So kind of just pick definitely in that mid game, do not pick everything. If I picked everything right here, I would already be out of points. This is going to cover my 200. So save those points when you can, because you're going to need them for other stuff. You're going to need them for all the crafting. You're going to need them for some of the navigation stuff. A lot of the vehicles. Again, look, I did not use them all because I don't have enough. I cannot. You will not have enough points to get everything. Okay, if it's not obvious, early game, you're going to want to be near water sources, which are basically the flowers, until you start harvesting, you know, a ton of blood or get the death still. And at the top right of my screen, you can see it is prime water hours because it is in the blue, you know, water drop. This is when you're going to get the most water out of these plants. Is right in the morning, kind of before dawn. That's when you're going to want to prime harvest these things if you're near them. So go out with a water bottle and your dew reaper and, you know, go to town. In the overland map, if you maybe don't know where everything is yet, which there are a lot of locations now, if you're tracking a quest, it'll say tracking Blushing Cavern. You're like, okay, well, I don't see anything. That means this little silver arrow is pointing you to where it's at, if you did not know that. It's not like where your airplane or ornithopter is pointing. It'll show you where to go, and all you got to do is kind of follow that arrow, and it'll take you, look, right here to Blushing Cavern. And if you press tab, you can see all the locations in the overland map. Look, there's a little helpful map to go to, or you just want to see what's out here. Look, Imperial testing stations, you can see over here. And then if you click on something, you can say track location. I want to go to the, over here you can see the location with the description. Maybe you want to go check out Smuggler's Run. You can then press track location down here at the bottom. And then when you go back to the map, as I just said, it is now tracking that thing. If you're in Eric Keene, and I'm sure there's a place in Harco Village, if you go over here, you can buy everything of the opposite faction stuff. I can buy all the Harkonnen, I can buy the buggy variant, everything they have. Everything they can earn, and maybe you like their drip a little bit, you can come over here and buy it too. So don't be worried if you're, you know, you like Atreides based on whatever the movies, but you also like the Harkonnen kind of look. You can come in here and buy pretty much everything they can unlock. And same goes for Harco Village. There'll be a vendor there, and he sells Atreides stuff. So pretty cool. If you made an ugly character at the start of your game and you just hate it and always have to wear a mask to hide it, you can come to, which this was added like an update ago, the clinic, and you can see by the face, you come over here. I think there's a quest for it, but it allows you to change your appearance. So pretty cool way. If you want to maybe switch it up, or you just hate the way you look, pay 5,000 Solari, and there you go. If you find yourself in the city and you're like, dude, who are these vendors? They look cool. There's 3 of them. What the heck? They're only unlocked via Landsraad. You have to win it, your side, House Atreides, House Harkonnen. Then after that, you vote. And if you have any voting, you can vote for one of these. And right here, you'll see access to a Landsraad weapon vendor. So one of these will open up, and you can buy some, you know, higher end gear from them. To participate in the Landsraad, we'll need to be part of a guild. Do not fret if you're a solo player, which I am. You can just create a guild, which I did. My friends played for like 2 weeks, so don't mind these. These guys haven't been on, look, since the summer. You can make a solo guild. Doesn't matter. You don't have to fight anybody or anything. And that gives you access. All you got to do is pick a side, and that gives you access to Landsraad. If you're taking a break from the game, or you just don't have as many power needs as you used to, what I used to do, which I don't need right now because I'm playing a lot, is I would come in and turn off half my generators. Maybe I only need, kind of get an idea of what your circuit power is on average. Maybe you got a lot of pentashields, those take up some power. What you need to kind of just run the basics. You can go in here and turn off, you know, a lot of your generators if you don't need all this power output. And then when you're reloading your generators, it won't cost as much of your fuel cells to restock them, because you're not filling every one anymore. You're only filling, you know, a fraction of your full power. So that's a good way to save kind of energy, or, you know, your stockpile if you're away from the game for a while, or you're just not using as much power as you used to. If you're doing some refinery work in your base, either, you know, ore refinery or spice or whatever, and you want your output to go to a specific spot and also not fill in, you're going to want to fill these slots so things go directly to the circuit you want it to go to, instead of sitting in your refinery storage. And you can fill that with anything. It can be the materials you're already using in there, or even welding wire, since it's cheap. Now things will go directly to your output circuit. If you're going to build somewhere, maybe it's a cool spot, but you're over a path, be like this guy and make sure there's a little bit of room so buggies and land vehicles can get under you. And keep on moving. So that's a good dude right there. If you want to disable your HUD for maybe some screenshots, something like that, it's just F6. If you ever find yourself on one of these doors where they want you to do, you know, specific spots, you don't always have to. You can just point it right at the middle and just wait for it. Here's a better example. If you don't want to do all 4, maybe you're lazy like me, you can just sit here and wait a couple seconds and right through you'll go. Easy peasy. If you didn't know, spice harvesting with a sand crawler is possible solo. You don't need a guild, you don't need a clan. It would help if you're on maybe a more populated server and there might be some, PvP hunters out here. But there's lots of us out there that just come out here alone and farm some spice. What you're going to want to do is put it, towards the back of the circle. You're always going to want to have your carrier behind where you park it because it's just going to be easier to pick it up later. I'll show you. Then you're going to get in. You're going to turn on your little comb here with C. And then you're going to want to drive slow, not fast, because you'll be more efficient at picking up spice and less worm sign, which is obviously the big thing because the carrier and the sandcrawler are kind of slow. So if a worm comes, you don't have much time for mistakes. You're just going to go on a straight path. Definitely going to keep it under 20 kilometers an hour, which there is an exact number, I think. And I think it's between 12 and 18, something like that. So just keep it between there. And then you're going to come back. You can see my streak is pretty perfect. The beginning's a little sketch. But I got most of the sand there. So you're just going to go backwards. Because again, it's quicker. The big thing here is speed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do around 4 laps, 2 down and backs. So we'll go up again. I'm kind of, there might be a better way to do this, but I'm just pretty much tapping the forward, the W key over and over and over, which is kind of annoying. We're going to back it up. I don't feel like going over the top of the berm here. And always keep your eye out for worm. This is a lot safer for not aggroing the worm than a spice compactor, even though those are, easier. So once I do 4 passes, to be safe, you can be riskier here. I'm not. So this is expensive, but you can do whatever you want. Oh, I got a little bit of worm. Things like that. You're going to come, after 4 passes, you're going to come, pick up your crawler, and then kind of just reset the worm. So you're going to come up for a few seconds, reset the worm aggro, and then you're going to come back down and do the same exact thing. 4 passes to the right, 4 passes to the left, and that'll get you your medium spice field. If you guys are wanting to maximize your spice refining or your ore refining, it's not a bad idea to just keep a stockpile of the raw materials. You see here I have a bunch of spice sand from a crawler trip. And then wait until your Landsraad, and this one's kind of luck or being patient. Wait for your faction to win the Landsraad, and there sometimes is a perk or a reward after the Landsraad term where you can boost your refined materials by like 25%. So if you're patient and you don't need the loot now, you can go ahead and just, stash a bunch and wait for that, and then you can get, those increased gains there.